Alright, so here's the next step. I made my grafts yesterday and put them in the hive, so it's been 24 hours. I'll show you the queen cells here in just a second. But what I'm doing now is I'm putting the bottom box back together with a active queen in it, a laying queen. Actually one that I caught from a swarm yesterday. But it's actually a different queen than this hive had 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, but it's okay. And every frame on the bottom has sealed brood that should be hatching soon or is already hatching. What that does is that'll be opening up a lot of space for that queen to lay eggs. So we're going to finish out these cells on top of a hive that has a queen in it. Even though the hive has a queen, since they've already started building these cells, they're committed to making these queen cells now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take, this is the box that's got the grafts in it that have been pulled for the first 24 hours. So this is my starter colony essentially, and this was what was sitting here. So it has field bees, house bees, everything in it. And I'm just going to, real easy, just move from here right onto here. I'm going to leave the grafting setup just like it is, with pollen on one side, honey on the other, and grafts in the middle. And then I'm going to put 2 more frames of sealed brood either side just to fill it out. And whilst we're at it, since I just caught this swarm, it was a tiny swarm, I'm going to go ahead and combine them too, just to boost the population of this hive to help build those queen cells that much faster. So we'll get it all put back together. And important when you're recombining your frames in a grafting situation is you need to look for emergency cells that the hive may have pulled. And there's one right there. There's an emergency cell they started. And actually, I found over here on this hive, where I placed the queen temporarily, there's an emergency cell that they capped in 2 days. That's why we say emergency cells really aren't the best quality, because they cap them so quick that they end up not growing out right. They end up not developing right. You're going to end up with tiny queens and possibly even infertile queens, ones that don't develop right because the bees rush their production cycle. So anyway, I go through frame by frame, look for any sort of emergency cells, cut them out, and then we'll check back here in 3 or 4 days again, and we'll cut out any more again that we find. Can you guys see them? Let me get some bees off here. Let's see if we can see our grafts. We'll actually take a count, because I didn't count earlier. I checked earlier just because I was curious and I couldn't wait any longer. But let's see just how many we have. Let me get the bees off this.
Let's see if we can see here what we got. Looks like starting on the bottom, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Up to the middle, 10, 11, 12, maybe 13. Let's say 12, 13. I can't tell on those. 14, 15, 16, 17. So I think we've got 17. I'm not real sure on the wax cups just yet because they've just kind of rounded out the edges on some of them. So I can't tell if they're for sure. You know, on the plastic ones you can tell, because pretty much if they build any wax on a plastic cup at all, that means they're developing it. But on the wax cups, I can't see a larva inside even if I wanted to, so I don't know for sure if they've got a larva they're raising or what the deal is. So on some of these on the bottom, yeah, we're looking, see if you guys can see in there, looking into the bottom of the cell. If that bee would move her butt, you can see the larva in there floating on a big puddle of royal jelly already, and that's exactly what we want. We want to see these big pools of royal jelly and big fat larvae growing in them. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to put this back together, get these girls buttoned up so they can keep on building those queens that we need. Finished product. Again, you've got bottom box. The queen is caged just because she was a new queen to these bees. So she's caged, but I mean, they'll let her out within 24 hours for sure because it's a short plug. And 5 frames of mostly sealed brood that'll be hatching here soon, and other parts that are already hatched where the queen will have space to lay. Next box up, you've got the grafts. On either side of the grafts, you've got a frame that's mostly open honey and pollen, and the other side is mostly, it's all that fresh brood from the original graft frame. So what that does is having that baby brood, those baby larvae up there, that draws all the nurse bees up to this box. So now you've got nurse bees drawn to the box because of the brood pheromone, and so there'll be more attendance on the queen larva as well. And then on the other side, you've just got another frame of, I think there's a frame full of honey and another frame full of mostly cat brood, just whatever extra I had. And then up top is that little swarm that I caught out of my own backyard, tiny, tiny swarm. And I put them found on drawn combs, and I see no liquid honey. So a little swarm that basically they swarmed out with no resources. They wouldn't have made it on their own. They'd have been lucky to even make it in this box with me feeding them. So I'm just going to go ahead and recombine them, and that makes sense because I'm using their queen anyway, since I kidnapped the other queen for a removal job. So anyway, that's it as far as the grafting hive setup. We'll check back here in a couple days just to make sure the grafts are still getting pulled, looking real good. But other than that, it's time now to start prepping boxes, putting together kits, and getting mating nooks set up and ready. So I'm going to be building a rail, a 5th rail back behind these hives here to open up as much space as possible to put, I should be able to put about 9 5-frame mating nukes on it,
and then I'll just have to find space. Like I said, if I've got 17 queen cells, I know that hive needs one because they're mean, so I'm going to requeen them for aggression. And I think everybody else is fine as far as having a queen. So I'm just going to stack up as many mating nukes as I can, and then I'll build another temporary rail or something. I want to try to make as many as I possibly can with the queens that I have. So that's it for this.